Right guys, so we have this Citroen DS3 in with us this morning, and this is the very, very popular DV6 engine, which is the 1.6 HDi, and it is a very, very popular engine right across the PSA platform. Now, the customer has just dropped this off with us this morning, and she's saying that it's got an engine management light on, and it is displaying an error message. She thinks it's like filter level low in the middle of the dashboard. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to take you through how to fix this car so you don't have to go into the main dealer and it costing you loads of money. Right, so first things first, people, we are going to have a look to see what the customer complaint is. So what we'll do, we will switch the ignition on and start it up and see what we've got going on. Oh, there we go. So we've got a service light activated. We have got risk of filter clogging, right? So this is going to be DPF related. So we've either got some sort of issue with the DPF, maybe the pressures. Oh, here we go. We've got a further message that says particulate filter level low. So first thing I'm going to be doing, people, let's get the Thinkcar Thinktool on here. And with anything pressure related, DPF related, what we will do, we will have a quick look to see what the differential pressure readings are and what it's saying in the Eolys tank. Because these DV6 engines, they used to have, in the very early ones, had like an Eolys pouch that you would have to connect in. Now the newer tanks, you don't have a pouch anymore, but you do have to fill it. But not only do you have to fill it, you have to tell it you filled it, how much you filled it by. You have to then prime it, and then it will allow you to remove all the fault codes. So first things first, we are going to be plugging in the Thinkcar, and the diagnostic port for these are hidden. They're not down here like you would expect on a normal car. They are actually in the glove box. So when you have a look into the glove box, there will be a panel, which you can see here, that you have to remove in that corner. And then the OBD socket is literally hidden just in there. So let's have a look on the diagnostic machine. This is the Thinkcar Thinktool, which is the 391. We have run a scan on it, and we can show you what we're going to be doing. So if we push report, and the great thing about the Thinkcar, it does have a very good system where you can input the customer's details so you can keep it for later on. But we're going to skip that just to show you this. It does also have an AI tool. So if you don't understand the fault codes, you can get AI to analyze the fault codes. Now, this is the fault codes that we see time and time again, people. We have got a P1445 and a P15B3. Now, going back to the first fault code, which is the P1445, this is the additive level. Now, what happens is manufacturers build in a limit into their software so it counts how much fluid has gone through the particulate filter, and then it will say it needs changing. Now, we all know they put that there. Bit of a money-making exercise, because if the differential pressure readings are good, that means you don't need to throw away your DPF filter as much as they would want you to. So what I'll be doing with that, if the differential pressure readings are fine, we'll be deleting that fault code and saying it's had a new DPF. And then the second fault code is the amount of additive in the tank. Now this one says it's of critically low. So that normally means we're getting down to maybe a few 100 mil. These tanks generally take just over 1 litre of fluid. So if it starts getting below sort of 200 or around the 200 mark, it will throw this fault code. So what we'll do, let's have a quick look in the live data and see what we have got going on, people. So all I'm going to do is go into the engine control module. Can you see those fault codes? And the main thing here is having a look at the data. So we're going to go in the data stream or the live data, depending on what tool you're using. And we always want the exhaust line data. We've got differential pressure, so we can tell how blocked the filter is. This is an hilarious one. Distance before you have to replace it, when we know full well it just counts how much fluid goes in, and it's a bit of a money-making exercise. We want the minimum additive level. We want the volume of the additive in the reservoir, and this will tell us what we've got going on. So we can see here we're around 200 mil of the additive, and the tank takes 1100 mil. You can see that we've got a minimum level which has been passed. Now, this is a big one. This is going to tell us how good or how bad the DPF is, because we have got differential pressure. So if I start this up, I would expect to see on idle below 10 millibars. And as you can see, we have got 7 millibars. So I'm absolutely happy that the DPF in this vehicle does not need replacing. So that fault code where it says you need to replace it is exactly that, guys. So let's get this on the ramp. Let's get it up in the air. I'll show you how to put the additive in to reset it, to prime it, and save you some money. Right, now that we're under this DS3, I can see clearly that this is the older style Eolys tank. Now, this is not a refillable tank. This is a pouch. Now, there's two options with a pouch. You either buy it ready-made with all the fluid in, and you just take the old one out and reconnect it. So depending on how this pouch looks, we will determine whether we're just going to put some fluid into the pouch or we're going to need to replace it entirely. So when you look up here, it's got one 13 mil here, and then what you'll have a number of these around the side, which are just a push and turn feature. And then what will happen, this will separate from the top piece. So first things first, we're going to disconnect the hose for the primer pump, and then we will unplug this plug here. So let me do that first, and then we'll undo the 13 mil and drop this out the bottom. I've got some plastic caps here. This is just a push in, pull out. Nothing is coming out of here. Sometimes you do get the odd drip, but this pump, when it's activated, which uses a LIN network here, if this communicates and says to pump it, it will then pump. So you should be all right with just taking this off, but what you will get is a little bit coming back through here. So what I tend to do with that is just put it up, out the way, and then it should stop leaking on you. And then it's just a case of unhooking the plug here, which you will need a hook for, because it's really difficult to get onto. That's it. Right, so with that plug off and that hose pipe off, we're going to undo the 13 mil, and then I'm going to take this bottom piece out. Right, what we've got to do, undo this 13. You might need a bit of squirt because these do actually break on here. So we're going to undo this. What I tend to do is undo it just a little bit. Don't take it all the way out straight away, but that does start to feel like it's going to bind up. So if it starts to bind up, which it's doing now, just stick it back on a little bit more, because what happens is this nylon thread inside this bolt gets old and it just starts to fall apart. So just back and forward a couple of times. We'll get some squirt on that, and then what we'll do, we'll get this undone. So now that we've squirted it up, just bring that down. Even now that's starting to bind up quite a lot. Can you see that? So back and forward a few times just to try and get that to break loose. You see that? Just age related wear. Now what we can do is we can undo these, and then that should come down. If you're worried about it falling down, just stick the bolt on, just a couple of threads, and what that will do is it will stop it from falling on you in the event you're worried about it. So we'll just stick that on a couple of threads, and then when we undo that, we should be all right without it falling on me. With a flat blade screwdriver, these are just a push and turn, and then what will happen, you'll feel it, it will just locate itself. Push and turn. It's only literally like a quarter turn, and then that will just come undone. So that's that side, and then you've got one just up the back here. From memory, there should be 3. With a little bit of wiggling, you should then just be able to pop these down, and then that will come out. Now these bags, or these pouches, is what you refill. So when you take, this is an older style Eolys tank, and basically what happens is the pouch goes through this plastic piece and into the pump. So this will attach onto here, and then the signal from the car's ECU will tell it to pump Eolys fluid, which it will take from this pouch. And as you can see, this pouch has literally got hardly anything in it. So there's two options. We either replace this whole pouch, or we can refill this pouch. Now, this pouch looks actually in really good condition. There's no splits or tears. So I'm going to show you how to fill this up, so then you haven't got to buy the pouch. First thing you're going to need to do is just with these two green pieces here, is push this down and then push these two. You'll hear them click, and then you should be able to just pull that out of there. See that? And then that will disconnect the pouch. Now that we have removed this from here, we can now use the adapters to push into here with some fluid and fill this pouch up. As easy as that. So basically all I'm doing is just filling up this 1 litre bottle. I tend to keep this in stock because there's loads of it. So we're just going to fill this up. You can buy a kit that comes with loads of different ends, some hose ends. As you can see, this has been well and truly used. And then all we've got to do is find out which adapter fits the pouch. And then all we're going to do is just fill it up ourselves. So I've just checked that this hose end fits into there. And then all I've done is just stuck this onto here, which I can use for different adapters, which I've just basically made myself. So we're just going to put this onto here. This is a very, very messy job. And this stuff is nasty, so make sure you always wear your gloves. And then what we'll do, we'll connect this into here, like so. And then we are going to start filling up the pouch. And you'll see that the pouch will start getting bigger. Can you see that, everyone? Filling up the pouch, saving you fortunes, people. Not having to go into the main dealer, reusing the pouch. This is what this channel is all about, people. We're nearly down to the 1 litre mark now, and that pouch is filling up lovely. So we're nearly there. Isn't it amazing what you can do with just putting your mind to it and actually thinking about what we could potentially do? And this is not that difficult a job to do. So this is why we're making the video for you guys. And as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because I do this out of the kindness of my heart. I don't have to show you how to do this, but you know, this is why this channel exists, because you know, we don't want people getting ripped off. It is as simple as that. So now that we have got 1 litre of fluid in there, all you're going to do is release this from there. Don't forget the orientation for this to go back in. The good thing is it is shaped, so you should not get this wrong. We're going to take this out, which is the primer part of it, and we are going to attach it back into there. That just pushes into there. So this then pushes down. Don't forget the orientation of the plastic. See that? It's shaped, so you should not be able to get it wrong. So that will push into there, and then the pouch drops in on top, just like that, people, all right? And then all I'm going to do is just fold this lip down slightly, so that when we push it up, nothing gets caught, because we do not want to split this pouch. And that is how we do it, people. So now I'm going to push it up. We're going to use these 3 tabs to connect it back up, the 13mm on there, and then we should be able to tell the computer that we've put 1 litre of fluid in. We can prime it up, remove the fault codes, and see what we got. Let's get this fitted. Okay, so like I said, make sure you don't pinch the pouch, because that would ruin all of your efforts. So all we're going to do is just slide it back up into there. They do sit inside each other, so you shouldn't really get it wrong. That's it. Now once you've got it up inside, if you just push these up, they should go and just push up and in. There you go. First one locked in. Up and in. Second one. Give it a wiggle, and that it should be all 3 now in. And we can get that 13mm on, which we'll do up now. And then it's just a case of bringing that pipe back down I'll put it up there because I was getting covered. Not a nice job, but best thing to do first is to get that plug on first, which should just be pushed on and in. You'll hear it click, and then this one, on and in, click, 13mm done up, and then we can go over to the diagnostics, tell it how much fluid we've got in there, and get it to prime. Some spillage, which we always get with these, so I'll get that cleaned, and then we'll go over to the diagnostics. Right, so now that we've fitted the bag back in, we've topped it up, we need to tell the computer that we've now got a new pouch in. So what we're going to do, using the Thinkcar, we're going to go back into the ECM, back into it, nice and easy. And then we're going to go to special functions, which you can use on most diagnostic machines. We're going to go pack preparation, and we are going to go replacement parts. Now we are going to scroll down to replacement of the additive reservoir or additive pouch to the pump or pipes. So now what's going to happen? We told it that we have got a new one. We're also going to go in and tell it that we've refilled the pouch. So what will happen, that should reset back to the 1100mm that the pack will take. By us resetting the learn values of the pouch replacement, you can see straight away on here now that the car knows we have got just under the 1100mm maximum fill point on here. So what we're now going to do is just reset all the fault codes and tell it that it's had a new DPF. And a lot of you in the comments below will be like, oh my God, you can't tell it because it hasn't had one. I've checked the differential pressure readings and I know that DPF is as good as it needs to be. You will then tell the ECU that we can go again with the amount of fluid back through the DPF. Now, the great thing about that is you haven't had to replace the DPF, you haven't had to go into the main dealer, and we know full well it's perfectly good for another 50, 60, 100,000 miles again until it tells you it needs replacing. So what I'm going to do is just go back in here, tell it that it has had a DPF. It will take the limit of how much fluid has gone through the DPF, and then hopefully we should have no more fault codes. So when I go back in here now and push read fault codes, guess what, people? We have got no more fault codes. So to prove our theory, are we going to have any noises on this vehicle? Have a look at that, people. Ready? And it's running. And there you have it. A magician has solved your problems. And we have not had to put it into the main dealer with special software for them to plug into it. You know, you'd have gone into a main dealer and you would have had a new DPF, then you would have had a new pouch, you'd have had diagnostic charges. I would say you're probably into 4 figures by the time you do all of that. Like everything, guys, I do this to help you guys. And in return, all I ask is that you like, share and subscribe to our channel, and I can bring you more of the same, fixing your cars. I do lots of funny things as well, so don't take us too seriously when we're having a laugh. But, and again, guys, this is in all of the PSA engines, this 1.6. So you know what you're doing. Anyway, guys, we'll see you on the next one.